So we talk about Bernie Sanders has the high-speed internet for all plan. That's a really good plan. It basically puts a lot of money into building high-speed internet, and that high-speed internet is then city-owned, which is what? Municipal broadband. One of the missions of this show is building municipal broadband in my community of Pasadena and trying to get it orchestrated all over the country. Well, Bernie Sanders has an extensive plan for that. And it writes net neutrality into the charter. And here's something else that it calls for that we didn't talk about the first time. He wants to break up Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T, saying their greed must end. So Vermont Senator and Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders unveiled plans to launch a publicly funded broadband network and break up big internet providers like Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T. Here's another thing. He wants the internet to be treated like a public utility, not leave it up to the private companies. So then they point this out. The internet in this country costs too damn much. The United States ranks 10th of 28 countries in average broadband speeds, 18 out of 23 countries in fixed broadband prices. So part of this proposal are subsidies of up to $150 billion to local municipalities. And there's another thing that he does here. Not only does this proposal call for the full reinstatement of net neutrality and for reclassifying broadband as a public utility, but Sanders also threatened to unwind anti-competitive vertical conglomerates and bar internet service providers from providing content. Why is that important? Well, because what internet service providers are trying to do, they're trying to get into the content business. So that way they can be ready for a post-cable world where all of our content and all of our information gathering and all of our content gathering is done via subscription services that they own and operate. What would that do? That shows like this would go bye-bye because they wouldn't load. It would eliminate independent content and independent media, and it would only allow corporate content and media to flourish. So that's why that's a preemptive strike of saying you can't provide content. This bill is essential to the future of the internet. And pursuing infrastructure like this is essential to the future of the internet. So that's why this part of the article is particularly important. And we didn't hit it the first time we talked about it. Now here, so check out this comment here. I love this comment. More foolishness from a person who has, this is a reader comment, by the way. More foolishness from a person who has no business experience, endangering jobs with no benefits resulting, like the Bell telephone breakup. It would change little other than to raise rates. Okay, so false equivalency right away there. The telephone and phone lines are considered utility services. And that's what he's calling for. He's calling for the internet to operate like the telephone lines, to operate like flowing water. Instead, this person makes a false equivalency. Right now, the internet is designated an information service like cable television or the radio. And we all know what happened in both of those cases. It got homogenized and taken over by a few elite, powerful corporations. That's what happened to radio. That's what happened to TV. And that's what's going to happen to the internet if we don't do something and build municipal broadband all over the country. And we got to do it either via Bernie's bill or via doing it ourselves. And that's something that we can do in cities and municipalities. And the courts just ruled that we're able to do it. And we can have state net neutrality bills as well. So that's interesting. He's like, wow, look at you want it to be like the phones. It's like, no, it's not like the phones now. That's what we want it to be like. The phones are utilities. He's saying that the phones are good because of Bell. It's like, yeah, but they have to be, they're regulated like public utilities. They're protected as a public utility by the FCC. So this commenter is arguing against this bill and arguing against these types of policies by saying, look at the telephone. The telephone's doing fine and Bell's involved there. Yeah, the telephone is designated a utility, and that's what we're calling for the internet. So you're going against this policy by defending an entity that we want the policy to make the internet like. See how that's backwards? All right, cool.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. put together and